and then share the screen. Here we are. So now we are coming to the third and last order of love from Bert Hellinger. And this is the order of balance. This is about balancing of giving and receiving. The order of balance is concerned with how do we, if we have an imbalance in an order, let's say in the second order of love, how do we balance it out so it doesn't become a disturbance in the family system and something that is even causes an epigenetic damage that is passed on to next generation, right? In order to find out where the right balance is and who gives and who receives what, we need to exactly know what relationship we are looking at. So first of all, we will look at the mother-child relationship. And then we will look at the father-child relationship. Then we will look from the other way, from the child towards the parents, from the perspective of the child. And then we will look at the relationship to ancestors. What is the order there of balance? And finally, we will look at romantic relationships and what is the balance there. So let's start with the mother and child relationship. Mother's love flows towards children. Remember yesterday, in the order of precedence, it was clear that the mother comes first, the child comes last. The love flows like a stream of water from the mother to the child. That is also in other terms that the mother is giving love and the child is receiving love. Yeah? And that is the nourishing movement that is in a natural order. That is following natural law, if you will. The ability, yeah, Navjyoti?
Maya, so in case of mothers who have acted brutally towards their children, some mothers have even resorted to killing their children. Is this still a universal law and will hold to even
Always.
a mother who has been brutal?
Always. It's absolutely universal. There's no exception to that. And this is not the love that that in society is perceived, or that is the word love that is used so broadly. This is the pure unconditional love that is not in the possession of the mother, that is going through the mother. In her ability as soon as she becomes a mother, this love flows. There's nothing she can do or to hold it back or transform it into something else, anything, nothing. So it is a love that is created at the beginning of times. It's the source of love and light. And this energy, this love is going through the mother line to nourish their children. It's always there. And that's not a theory, obviously. That is what you see in family constellation. The way that is in that, what is in the way of this flow of love are what we call these interrupted movements that we can heal. And as soon as we heal that, the love is flowing freely. Yeah. And then it's just a matter of the child being able to receive it. And that is often the problem, that the child is not able to receive it. Okay. So this is one universal love. The mother's love flows only towards the children. The children are not supposed to give that back because they can't. It's impossible. It's the mother's love. It's not children's love. It's a different quality, yeah? The river flows only in one direction. Remember, the water doesn't flow back to the spring. That doesn't work. That has nothing to do with love from children to their parents and respect and all of that and care. This is not the love we are talking about. We are talking about mother's love that is pure, nourishing energy and substance that flows in one direction. Children, of course, when they grow up, they pass this on, right? So when they become mother, let's say the daughter becomes a mother, then they pass this love on, or even the son, when he becomes a dad and has children, he passes this love on. Yeah. It is still mother's love, it just flows then through the father, right? Because it comes from his mother. Okay? So there is this quality of unconditional love that is nourishing the children. And it cannot be accumulated if you want, yeah? It will flow naturally to their children. Now, when there are no children, then it can also flow into another good cause, if you will, towards beings that are in the same need of nourishment and care as a baby would be. For example, animals, or elderlies, or orphans, or you name it, right? It could be anything. It could be also like a spiritual retreat where people come in need for nourishment. It could be basically anything, yeah? Of course, the easiest way is to pass it on to the children because there's nothing the mother or then the adult needs to do because this just happens naturally. So many people who have no children and who have received mother's love in abundance because there is no blockage or they have cleared all the blockage and they have no urge to have children, then they will find something unconsciously where they can let this love flow. And if you observe maybe yourself or others in your friends and family circle, you might detect that that is the case with the one or the other. Yeah. Children give, of course, they give also to the mother, but that is not mother's love. No, that is thankfulness, that is gratitude, that is respect, that is from the receiving part of things. Yeah. So always from the perspective of the receiver. Yeah. They then give back. That is comes after they have received from the mother. They cannot do that in advance. Yeah. So, for example, when there is an interrupted movement between grandmother and the mother is not able to let the love flow towards the daughter, yeah, the daughter cannot, there is, how can I put it? There is nothing that the daughter can give thanks for, right? From a soul perspective. That needs to come first. So here is the healing movement to allow the love to flow, and then the children, the now adult child, but in a constellation, the representative of the child is receiving the love, and then the gratitude will be there. And the deep connection to the mother. So I rounded up. Children's role is to receive mother's love as it is, without judgment, without putting a label to this love, because this is forming expectation, and they will not be fulfilled, and this is causing another interrupted movement towards the mother because her love will be rejected. And remember, that is not a love that you can measure in how many gifts have been bought for the child or anything like this. Yeah? This is an energetic flow of love that is enabling the child to be nourished. So we are looking now. By the way, Heba, we don't see you, eh? Your video's off. Are you with us? Maybe not. So the common problems in unbalanced mother-child relationships is, first and foremost, the child cannot receive for several reasons. The other one is the mother cannot give. And then the third one is the child feels superior to the mother. And you see that very often in family constellations. When this inability is to receive mother's love, the child is what I call represented as an arrogant child towards the mother. And then fourthly, the mother feels weak towards the child. That's kind of the other flip side of the coin. The mother's not in her power. Ah, here she is. Hi, Heba. So we just talked about mother's love. If you haven't heard it, you see it on the video. And now we are talking about father-child relationship. It is kind of similar with some exemptions. Yeah. So also father's love flows towards the children. Same situation. Father came first. He has received the love from his father and his mother. And this love has always two qualities, because every human being has a father and a mother, right? So everyone has received the love from father and mother, right? And regardless if it's a daughter or it's the son, they always have this male and female yin and yang qualities of this love. So father's love flows towards the children. The children are not supposed to give that back. Of course, again, the river flows only in one direction. The children here also, same as with mother, give gratitude and respect to the father once they have received the love. And then, of course, same thing, they also pass this quality of love, this father's love, pass that on to their children, or if they have no children, to a good cause. That's the same principle here. So what would be different here? Yeah, children's role is to receive father's love as is without judgment. That's also the same. There would be different judgments, of course, than to the mother typically coming up, right? Mainly they are judging the father that he wasn't there enough. That's the most common judgment against the father. He was probably not there at all, or he was not there enough. And then the most common judgment towards the mother is that the love is not good enough that she has given. The common problems in father-child relationship is that the father is being rejected, so the child cannot receive the love. And when the child cannot receive the love, then the adult hasn't received the love neither, right? So that's just the way it works. And that is mostly because they reject the father because it hurt so much that he wasn't there, he wasn't present, even if he was physically present but emotionally not. That that it hurt the child so much that it shut off and rejected the father altogether. Of course, then the other problem is the father cannot give the love, cannot let it flow, although it's an innate ability that he doesn't need to do anything about. But if he wasn't capable of receive the love from his mother and his father, then he can also not pass it on. So it's got stuck there in this generation. And that's, of course, causing then also the same problem in the father-child relationship. That is most often the case when the father himself has an interrupted movement towards the mother, or sometimes towards the father. Because remember, these interrupted movement can go through all generations, all the way back to the 7th generation. And if there is one interrupted movement, then normally the love is stuck there, and all further generations cannot pass anything on. And how do we see that in the family constellation? We see that in the facial expression and the emotions of the representative of the father. If the love is there and waiting waiting to be received by the child, the father would look at the child, the representative, right? Would look at the child representative with love, would smile, would be warm, would say yes, would say I'm here for you, would open their arms. All these expressions would happen. If the father is not ready to give, because the heart is closed, because he himself has an interrupted movement, this wouldn't be the case. He would not look at the child maybe, or he would look at the child and say, I don't feel much. Anything like that can happen. And this is how you see in a family constellation that the father has an interrupted movement towards the child, an interrupted movement himself towards his either mother or father. So in this case, you would place his mother and father and find out which one it is, or both, and work on that first. And then, when he was able to receive the love, then he can turn around and you see immediately this change and the transformation in this representative, because he would be very warm and he would open and he would be so eager to let the love flow instantaneously after this healing has taken place. Okay, do we have any questions so far? Okay, so let's look at another relationship that is sometimes comes up in a family constellation, the teacher-student relationship. So the teacher-student relationship is similar to father-child relationship. Yeah. So the teacher stands for the father. Yeah, and the student is the child. That's saying, if there is problem, if the student feels rejection towards a teacher, then in a family constellation, you would, instead of putting the teacher there because he's not part of the family system, remember, first order of love, yeah, you would put there the father. And you would see that there is the interrupted movement between father and child. And the student-teacher relationship is just a reflection of that. And that applies for any relationship where giving back is not possible. Because obviously the teacher gives to the student and the student cannot give back. Right? There is nothing equal to give back. And if you now think, well, the teacher is paid for, it's not about the money. So the money is not counting for what the teacher passes on, it's counting for the time spent. Yeah. But not for what flows from the teacher. This nourishing and this care that also would flow from the father for their student. At one point, the student needs to teach to let the love, which is then the teaching, synonymously flow in the right direction, downwards. So that is when you have learned a lot in a certain field, whatever field it is, when you have gathered a lot of knowledge, more than the average. And that also hints that you have a passion for it, because otherwise you wouldn't have done more than the average in this specific field. You would feel the urge to pass this on and start to teach, actually. Yeah. And that is why, because you physically cannot hold on to all of this energy. It needs to flow. And this is a very natural point, and that will happen naturally, and there will be synchronicity events happening and divine intervention, and you will get certain hints that are obvious that it is a time to teach. Or as you might have heard the quote, when the teacher is ready, the students appear. And that is the dynamic behind it. It's the same as if if the son who has received the love from the father has a son himself. Yeah. Then the love will flow naturally. He cannot hold it back. Same with the teacher as well. Okay, now we look in ancestral relationships. First of all, they are pretty similar to parents, right? The ancestors give and the descendants receive. It is just not so linear. It is a very specific love that comes from father and mother only to their children. In very, very, very rare circumstances, a generation can be skipped and the love can flow directly from the grandmother to the child or the grandfather to the child. It happens. I think I had that in total twice in my 20 years. So it's very, very rare, right? But it can happen. In the ancestral, when we are talking about ancestral relationships, we're not talking about an ancestor as being a mother or a father, but as being represented as an ancestor in a family constellation. So their role is for their descendants also, of course, they give, descendants receive, but the question is, what is it if it's not mother or father love that they give? And they give blessings. So that is their role. It's also something no one can give back. Blessings can only come from top down, yeah, from somebody who was before, to the one who came after. There always needs to be a generation in between, yeah, or several generations actually. Of course, the ancestors also give through their children, but then you wouldn't look at the ancestral relationship, you would look at a specific mother-child or father-child relationship in another generation. So you would then, in this case, instead of just putting an ancestor as a representative, you would put 3 ancestors, generation 7, generation 6, and generation 5, all 3, and see if there is a row of interrupted movements. So the descendants receive the blessings. They need to receive it, of course, as much as they need to receive the love of father and mother. Yeah. In the case of receiving the love from father and mother, they have to open their heart, and we will practice that a lot in module 4. So I'm not doing this right now and spending too much time on this, but the descendants receive the blessings by making their life extraordinary. Or leading a good life, because this is how they honor the ancestors. This is their receiving, and you would say that in a family constellation. So if there is the need of receiving blessings from their ancestors, then the descendant would say, thank you, I take it, or I receive it, I now have received it, and I will make I will make a good life out of my life in honor to you, in honor of you.
What would be an example? Sorry, I didn't raise my hand. Can I talk?
Yeah, you can.
What would be an example of making your life extraordinary in honor of ancestors?
That
In
is,
India, we have lots of rituals, but I wonder if that means anything.
No, that means nothing specific. It could be really anything that this child is the adult. Then, if of course we're talking about the adults, not children, that they do something good. So we are out of the conscience here, the personal conscious, and let's say the mafia family, right? And we are here in the realm of that you're receiving, and you open your heart. That cannot really be to bad things. So you would not like be a really good killer to honor your ancestor. Yeah, it would be something positive. It would be a good cause. It would be just, the simple things can be quite extraordinary. You can have a shoe shop, let's say a shoe shop, but you can be very kind to your customers. Yeah. Or so it doesn't need to be, you don't need to be famous and make lots of money to honor an ancestor. Yeah, just make sure that the ancestor would be proud of you, if you will. Yeah, in your own way.
So it doesn't mean it has to be connected to something they did or something they were proud of. It can be anything good dedicated to them.
Yeah, anything, absolutely anything. Yeah, whatever is in the life, whatever is in the desire of this receiver, whatever they desire to do, they do it in honor, and then they do it as best as they can, and then therefore they are honoring the ancestor for their blessings for that. So the common problems in ancestor relationship is, first of all, that the ancestors are excluded, simply because they are not thought of, neither by the client nor the facilitator. Yeah, because the client is not talking about the ancestors. Don't forget that the client is talking about some immediate problem. Yeah, he's normally only talking about themselves, partners, siblings, parents, of course. Yeah, in very rare circumstances, they're talking about grandparents. Yeah, they come with this problem, issue that they have in their life, in their current life. And it is the role of the family constellation facilitator to find in the family system that where it started, where the source is. And that can be very well with the ancestors. Yeah. So the client is not mentioning them. And when a facilitator is not experienced or not well educated, then they would just go with the people that the client is mentioning. They would just, they would just ask representatives of the people the client is mentioning. And then, of course, you don't go to the source of the problem. So ancestors are often forgotten, let's say it that way, or they are deliberately excluded because they were one of these persons who were dismissed. Remember? Or the third order of love. They have been forgotten or dismissed by the family. That is another way how an ancestor could be excluded. And then the other problem in an ancestor relationship is that the ancestors are not honored. It is not let's go back to this mafia example. If there was in the 6th generation the founder of this mafia who was very cruel and has killed a lot of people and you name it, yeah, then like in this current situation, it is maybe that they feel they feel ashamed of this ancestor, and although they don't dismiss him, they still talk about him, and it's in the awareness and it's in the family. They don't want to they honor him as the ancestor, right? Because of what he did. But that's not what we mean. Whatever he has done is his business, not the descendants' business, right? Every ancestor needs to be honored for the sheer fact that without them, one wouldn't exist. Yeah. If just one ancestor wouldn't be there and doing what they were doing, you wouldn't exist. Yeah. And that is, again, this is this natural law that we are coming back to. This is not related to whatever they have done. Yeah. It is the honoring is the honoring that life comes through them. So then we also have to look at what is an entanglement with an ancestor. Without going,
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course, Heber.
Yeah, so regarding the previous slide, you say that we should honor the ancestors because one would not exist without them, right?
Yeah.
So what if someone is already not honoring his own existence, or he is not very happy about being, in life? So this would make like he wouldn't find something to appreciate their ancestors for, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That is very often the case, that the people in a family constellation, or the representatives in a family constellation, who cannot honor an ancestor also cannot honor their own parents, nor their own life. This is that's very true, and they maybe even have suicidal thoughts. It's very, very true. Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. Mm. So
Now that you have, I'm sorry, now that, that you have mentioned, because you have mentioned about the suicidal thoughts. So I've been, sorry, I've been through other also coaching courses, like normal coaching, and they always mention that they can't work with a person who already have like a psychological issue or psychiatric case, like for example depression or schizophrenia. In these cases, that they cannot help them, they have to go and get medical help.
That's very interesting question. Of course, I'm talking about schizophrenic and psychosis at another point later in the course. But now that you mention it, I just briefly mention it. That is exactly the same what Bert Hellinger says. A clinical psychotic or schizophrenic person cannot constellate.
But then
cannot help in a family constellation. That's exactly the same here. But however, just depression can be helped very, very well with a family constellation.
But wouldn't these diseases be like any other physical disease caused by some interruption in the movement?
Yeah, all kinds of physical diseases can be the result of an interrupted movement. Yeah.
But then mental diseases are not caused by interrupted movement?
Yeah, could be, but not to this extent. So if it's if we're talking about severe cases, Bert Hellinger said, and I have never seen it otherwise, that there's nothing we can do about it. Yeah, nothing's gonna heal it. But I do have seen a lot, and we do that a lot, that milder cases, like depression, even suicidal thoughts, or even suicides. People don't necessarily commit suicide and are schizophrenic. Schizophrenic is a very severe disease that is then diagnosed, of course, and clinical, and in this case can also not be helped with family constellation. That is correct. But everything else, how can I say, mild mental impairments often are these just lost children, right? They are kind of lost, and they can be very well helped with family constellation. That's actually excellent. to help. Even to help somebody, and I have a case in my mind, and when we have a chance, we will constellate that, of somebody who has lost a daughter with 22 to suicide. Even then, you can, in retrospective, even though it has happened already, you can still help the family system, of course. Yeah, with a family constellation.
Yeah, so yesterday we spoke about the people with disabilities. So what about people with mental disabilities? They can still be constellated, or they can still constellate, or
to a certain extent. So there are two possibilities. The one possibility is that in a family constellation, somewhere in the third, fourth, fifth generation, and I show you how it looks later on, the signs, you see a representative acting that you know, oops, there is actually schizophrenica in the family, right? So that's one incident. So you can't heal that. Like, that is something that is really, we haven't seen it yet. I'm not saying never say never, but I haven't seen it yet, that could be healed, right? So you have to find something else where you can apply the orders of love to heal the family wound, not that one not, right? Maybe the family member feels a relief also after something else has been done. That's possible, but not working with this particular case and saying, okay, that's the source. Now I'm working there, and then I have the healing for the whole family. That's not really going to happen. But and then the other case is that you have a client who is schizophrenic or psychotic and comes to you. And I had one so far, one. Horrible. I don't wish that to anybody to have that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So that's and that is you just need to learn how to deal with this, yeah, and how to get rid of this person, basically, right? Yeah. There's really nothing you can do. You can nothing, and if you don't see it before you start a constellation for this person, and it comes up during the constellation, you have to break it up.
So if these things, they cannot be healed, this means that they can repeat themselves through the generations to come.
Yes. And they do. And they do.
So this also includes the mental disabilities, that if they don't get constellated, this means that it can still be repeated in the same family.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That is something which we have to accept, that are the boundaries of our work. Right? You cannot heal everybody.
Last question. I know I'm boring everyone.
No, that's interesting.
Yeah, Hellinger has said that this is out of the scope of the family constellation because he already tried and it didn't work, or he just never touched it. Has anyone tried it?
Yes, there are videos of him. There's one video, look in the group chat, in the general group chat, on the website, on the community page. There's one video, and we have also a chat about schizophrenic. You can read about that. We have discussed it there. And there's one video of Bert Hellinger where he had a schizophrenic child. But the child wasn't the client, the parents were the client, and the parents were also the source for the schizophrenic of the child. So watch that and see what he does. Of course, we don't know whether this has worked or not worked, right? Because we only see the constellation, we don't see what's happened years later. So we don't know what happens here later, but he's talking there about schizophrenic. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So it is possible that a child has psychotic episodes because of the situation of the parents, right? And then you think, oh, fine, we just need to mend the parent relationship, and then the child will be free of the psychotic episodes. But as you will see, that is not so easy, because it is kind of a dynamic between the parents that is impossible to fix. Yeah. So it's inevitably, if you will. Yeah. There's a little you can do. You can cut the cords with the parents a little bit, but I wouldn't put too much hope in it. Yeah, Saida.
This is excellent, Hiba, and thank you. It wasn't boring at all. It was really important stuff. I have a couple of follow-up questions, if I may, on this. So if you have somebody who's got kind of like psychological mental health issues and is on medication, are we able to help them so that, for example, whatever it is, whether it's schizophrenia or depression or anything, and then the other thing is, so possibly, and then what about so if somebody has a mental health issue, I suppose the question is, can you constellate on behalf of somebody else?
You can. If somebody else is asking you to do it, you can be a surrogate for it. But if somebody else is not asking you, you can't, because you don't have the permission from their family system.
Sorry, say that again?
Because you don't have the permission from the family system.
Yeah. So the ethical boundaries, yeah. Okay.
And it's actually really not only ethical boundaries, it's also de facto boundaries, because you wouldn't be able to access the morphogenetic field.
Yeah, of course.
Of the family system.
But then a person with a mental problem, or for example, like depression, schizophrenia, whatever, if he's coming to constellate, for example, because of problem work or like physical problem, it will be different things. Then he can constellate on that.
We will definitely start, because we wouldn't know they are schizophrenic. Yeah. But I'm afraid that will be revealed then, because there's probably, as soon as we start, somewhere in the representatives, there will be, the schizophrenic will show. It's rarely that it's it comes from somewhere. Normally it's in the family, and then you will be suspicious, and if everything just runs in circles, literally, then you have to pull the plug at one stage.
So they cannot even constellate for different problems. Not
they
for
can.
The mental...
If the schizophrenic doesn't come up in this constellation, then it's not in the way. But if it comes up, then it might get stuck there.
So they can't even constellate for other problems in their life because they are schizophrenic.
Well, you try it. I mean, I have not. The thing is, schizophrenic is such a severe disease that is hinting at such a severe dynamic in the family system that I highly doubt it that it's not coming up. Right?
Okay.
But if it's not coming up, maybe. I mean, the thing is, with all these cases, if you look at my website, I have in my terms and conditions stated that everybody who comes on a workshop is free of mental illnesses, is mentally well. Of course, I say that to be sure, if I spot somebody then I can say, look, you have to leave the group. This never happens. People who come, they don't know it normally. They are not diagnosed or something. They don't know that they have psychotic episodes, or or maybe they are completely healthy, and then the schizophrenia appears in the family constellation in another generation. So these are good questions, but they are quite theoretical, because in practice you trust the morphogenetic field. And you are open to all sorts of things happening, because you don't get more that you can show. You're not you're not getting presented more than you can digest. Yeah. When you're not in your ego mind, when you trust and you go with the morphogenetic field, and then these cases will not come. They will come when you are, for some reason or another, are interested in them. Yeah, you will attract them. Like I was at one stage, and then I figured out, no, I'm not interested anymore, because there's really nothing I can do. Yeah, so you can trust the process. That doesn't mean not that it happens to you. This is why we talk about it, and I will also show you how to handle it later on. But these cases are rare. In family constellation, right? And we would like to focus on these 99%, 99.8% people who come, want help, and can be helped. Yeah, and not the rare occasion where there is really little to no hope that we can do anything. And I can tell you, it is very, very unpleasant to work with these people. So you need to be really specially educated, I would say, to feel safe around them. Yeah. So, Saida, did that answer your question, or?
It does, but I'm also thinking I sense that some of this is an emerging field, because I think that mental health services have changed so much in the last 20, 30 years, and we don't know the impact of what early intervention will have on some people.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, I don't know personally, but I know a number of people who've got these mental health issues but are stable because of medication and various other things, and I'm curious about how they could do this work, but it's all unknown at the moment. Is probably where I'm at right now.
It is very unknown. Just while we are talking, a case comes to my mind of somebody who was also on medication, a young woman. And you wouldn't know that anything was wrong with her, other that she was a little bit hyper happy and hyper sad. You know, she was a little bit out there when she was happy, like a little bit unnatural. That's the only thing which I didn't know, that it was medication, because I didn't know she took medication. And she came to a family constellation, and she had a constellation, and in this constellation she actually had it turned out that she has catched a spirit. She had a possessed spirit, and from a house she was living in, and we were able to release the spirit. So we were able to work on that. Absolutely. Interestingly, nothing came up from her family, which is also interesting. And then she actually decided for herself to stop medication. She felt so good, probably because she was released from this burden, this energetic burden. And then, but months later, I lost sight of her. But then months later, I heard that she fell back into old episodes, yeah, and that she's probably back on medication as well. So we have not worked on her family system at all, and that is also a sign, you know, somehow. So that's a case that comes to my mind.
Thank you.
Okay. So what is an entanglement with an ancestor? They only want to point at an imbalance in their generation. That is really important to see. So when you have a representative for an ancestor that is in the family constellation showing up, yeah, they have always a purpose, of course, but that doesn't need to be that this ancestor is the source of the problem. It can be that they just say, it's here in my generation. So you need a few more representatives from that generation to find the source. So that is one role why the ancestor shows up as an entanglement in a family constellation. Yeah. The descendant's role is here to see the imbalance and not to fix it, right? So the descendant is the client that comes to you, that he has whatever he wants a partner. Let's say he wants a partner. And then you do the family constellation, and an ancestor appears, and there is an entanglement in this generation, let's say 6. And you work with that, and it can be cleared, right? Then the descendant is the outcome of this clearing, that the descendant is in a happy relationship a year later, yeah? But it is not that the descendant is fixing the problem. The family system is sending the descendant these problems with a partnership. So he will go to a family constellation, and there the ancestors can show up and fix their own problem. So this is not related, right? The problem of the descendant is not related to the problem of the ancestor. The descendant, your client, is a messenger. It's important to understand it's a messenger. And the message is, I want to do something in my life, I change something in my life, help me. And while you help them, the ancestors show up, and then they can fix the problem because they never had the space to clear it before. because you provide that now, because you have this client. The right order here is the descendant is receiving blessings and the ancestor is fixing the problem. Yeah? All right. So we have an exercise now, and we are looking, or you are looking at your ancestors or your ancestral lineage. You don't need to know it. You might have heard stories from generation 5 to 7. I don't know. So it's beyond great-grandfather, right? So that's beyond this generation. Or you might never have heard a word about it. That's completely equal. Doesn't matter at all. The exercise is that you go in a group of 2. We have 2 groups again with 2, yeah? And you have again 5 minutes each turn. And you will, hang on, let me stop sharing. And you will represent yourself and your partner's representing an ancestor. A ancestor. Doesn't need to be named. Doesn't need to have a gender. Doesn't need to have anything, yeah? So you connect to the family system of the one who's representing themselves, yeah? And the other one is with intent representing an ancestor. And then you just observe the one who's the ancestor.
From great grandparents above, is that right?
Yeah, 5 to 7. 5 to 7, yeah, generation 5 to 7. So there are several outcomes of this exercise. First of all, when you have the exercise you had with your mother, you knew it's your mother, right? So you had a picture of her, of course, and a relationship, yeah, and everything, and emotions. Now you meet somebody you never met, you never heard of, right? Now this is exciting because there's no expectation. So now observation is very important. So everybody is observing themselves, right? Not the other. That would be too much. So the one who is representing the ancestor is observing what comes up, what kind of feelings, what kind of gestures, what kind of bodily, physical, something physical. Yeah, just observing, not talking. And then the one who is representing themselves is doing the same with themselves. What comes up? What is my emotion? What do I feel in my body? What would I like to do? Is there a gesture I would like to do or not? Yeah? Just observe that. And then the end of the exercises, when the 5 minutes are over, is you see if that's appropriate. But if it's appropriate, you who represent yourself, you would take a small bow, yeah, to your ancestor and say, please give me a blessing. Yeah? And then you see the reaction of the ancestor, if this is available or not, and what is the reaction of the ancestor. Yeah? So if the ancestor wants to give blessings, then the ancestor says, yes, I bless you. Yeah? Or when there is a resistance, that's also okay. There's a resistance, that's also okay. Yeah? And if you representing yourself, you don't want to ask for blessing for whatever reason, that's also okay. Right? So there's not a right or wrong way. I just don't want you to talk other than the last sentence. Yeah? So you have the time to connect and to perceive and see how you feel about your role. What's going on there. Yeah? Okay? All right. So who was in a breakout room last time together?
Me and Sayeda.
Yeah, okay. I just want to mix it up today. And again, I will send you a message, of course, to swap. Yeah, so you can swap. So, and here you go. Good. Very good. Hello back. One is missing. Have you? Oh no, there she is. Okay. Very good. So let's share. Who wants to start? Maybe Heba, you came first. How was your experience?
So when I started as the ancestor for Saida, I felt proud that she's part of our family, or like she's a continuation of our lineage. But also at the same time felt a little bit disconnected, like this is the apple that fell a little bit far from the tree.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of emotion was that?
It was weird, like they were like trying to get to know her.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's something different. They wouldn't expect that they would see a woman in their line that's so independent and strong.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe down the line, most of the women, they were like more obedient and following the men, and so it felt like a little bit like an alien for them. Like this is something new, and they're trying to figure out, but they're
Right.
also proud of her. They're proud of her, and they wish that her life was a bit easier than what she had to go through. But they know that this is also part of what made her what she is now.
Very good.
Yeah, and they wanted to extend the blessings not just for her, but also for her children and the other generations to come after.
So that's what came up as well.
Yeah.
Very good. Did you feel as an ancestor, did you feel female or male?
It was a bit a mix of all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So no
Like,
gender specific emotion.
yeah, no, it was like a bit mix of all. Yeah.
Interesting. Very good.
Yeah.
And when you were representing yourself?
Yeah, first I felt awe, and then I started to feel more rooted.
Yeah.
Especially that we were like brought up in UAE, so for us it was not like other people. They would grow with their family around them. It was just my parents and my siblings, and that's it. So we always like more or less felt like a little bit disconnected from our country and our home country and our families. Although we visited regularly and saw our cousins and all, but I felt a little bit more rooted and like I belong. And that was all. I forgot that.
And
So yeah, but
you were asking for blessings?
yeah, I asked for the blessing. Yeah.
How did that feel?
It felt nice because we,
Mm-hmm.
as you said, we usually we don't think of our ancestors and where they came from and how all these different people from different places came together. Because my grandfather was Turkish and my grandmother, both of them from my mother's side, was from South Egypt, and then they got together, and then my mother and my aunts came. So he came from a totally different country, and then both of them, they were in the same country and got married. And for my father, they were Bedouins, so they were like nomads. They were like moving all over everywhere in the north desert of Sinai. So and then from all these different parts, like north and south and east and west, and then these people, they came together, and then we came to existence. So it felt like it was weird, but it was nice. I was like thinking of it. Yeah.
Wonderful. So you had a really new experience.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing, Heba. Okay. Saida, how was it for you?
Which one shall I do first?
Up to you.
so the experience as the ancestor, I don't know, I just felt extraordinarily proud of Hiba. And at one point I felt this overwhelming urge to want to give her a hug.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was like all the struggle and the difficulty was worth it. At one point I thought I was male and then I was female, and
yeah.
I felt like I was young, so under 20.
Mm.
And I got this sense that someone had died. Like, I don't know, like a male figure had died.
Mm-hmm.
And gosh, like, you know, Hiba, it's the first time I've heard you speak about your family. But what came for me was that I really felt this thing about like not having a land or migrating or moving, and the pain and the challenge in not having a home.
So now you have definitely connected with the paternal side of Heba's family.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like saying you're taking on so much, you're doing so much, you've got so much responsibility, and I have this. I can only tell you what I sense, which is I just wanted to kind of say, like, take care of yourself, you know, and you're just spending so much time focused on other people, and like, I don't know, there's some, make some space for yourself to do the things that you want to do, because you have that chance and I didn't.
Yeah. Wonderful. That's interesting.
And then when I was the receiver, I suppose that's the right word.
Yeah.
Or when I was me.
And you were you. Mm-hmm.
I really didn't feel anything at the beginning, you know, but then I noticed that there was a huge amount of resistance.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of felt they're saying to me, you know, it's hard for us, you know, and I did feel the sense of someone saying, like, you know, I'm proud of you, which was lovely.
Mm-hmm. Which is exactly what Heba said.
Yeah. And it was extraordinary. It really was. And it's interesting because when I asked for the blessing, I had no idea what I was asking for, but when I received it, it just felt really overwhelming. And then Hiba said, "Oh, no, I don't mean it's just for you. It's for you and your children." And at that point, I just felt this overwhelming sense of love, and I just wanted to cry.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. I want to say it was too much, but it wasn't, you know, it was just right.
Wonderful.
So, thank you.
Well, thank you very much for sharing, and I'm glad you had some profound experiences, because that is part of the work. Is, of course, we're stepping in other shoes we have never been in and we will never have a chance to resonate with, and we can experience emotions we would not otherwise not experience in our lifetime, and that will make us wider, if you will. Yeah, that is expansion. Very good. All right, next group. Eva, you want to share?
Yes, first of all, it was like, as Saida said and Hannah said, it was a really interesting experience. When I was an ancestor of Ninjati, it was like at the beginning, I felt that I have chosen three persons, because it was like three totally different feelings. The first one was that I was like reaching closer to her. I wanted to see her a little bit more and more. I was like even physically giving my look closer to her. And at the same time, I felt like a little bit, I was like, I don't know, maybe old, but I think that I was like I had received maybe some kind of judgment, so I came to her like this position, but I wanted to see her. I was like in positive feelings about her. That was the first part. The second was that she was blurry and I didn't see her. I was like simply like staring at her and no any kind of feelings, just that I can't see her. It was like something like that. And the third one was that it was like totally clear. I see her very well, and I was like in a calm position. I was pretty positive about her, but I crossed my legs and I was like just a little bit like. And when Najati asked a blessing, I couldn't give her. I said that still not, unfortunately. But it was like not no, no, never. But it was like still unfortunately not that kind of feeling that I couldn't say yes, I bless you, but I was like like I still can't give you a blessing. It was like some kind of
How
feeling.
interesting. So who of the three ones was speaking then?
The third one, who sees her very clear, who feels calm and good about her, but who crossed the legs and said that still not.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was like totally different, but it was like not that I am judging her or feel like shame of her. It was like I feel very good about her. It's all okay. I see very clear. I even have a smile on my face. I don't know if I had, but I had a feeling that I'm smiling, but still I'm not.
Interesting. Very good. Thank you for sharing. And then
Yeah.
when you were
And
yourself?
and then when myself, it was like first when I looked at her, it was like the same like Saida. I didn't have any kind of emotions, but then they started to flow. And the first one was that it seemed for me that she's getting older and older and older and older, and it's getting very fast. That I see how she's staying like old lady. But at the same time, she was old and very, very tired. She was like so tired. She just looked like getting older and tired, and it seemed that everything is pretty hard for her. That the life is like not the kind she wanted to someday live. So it was good and bad, and then later she a little bit changed for me, and I had this very sharp pain in my back. But I know when I work with my family constellations that somebody in those early generations have died in some kind of very bad accident. And I think that maybe I had that because it was like very sharp in my back and physically touching. And the last one was that it simply stayed like, I don't know, also a little bit blurry, but it was like more that we are like totally separated. We just looked at each other, and I didn't even ask a blessing because it was not again that I'm feeling some kind of shame or what kind, but I just feel that and it was that not even those words that still not, but just like not. I was looking at them, but some kind of very interesting.
Good, very good. Thank you for sharing. And Navjoti, how was your experience?
I just wanted to add to that Eva didn't ask for a blessing, so I really wanted to give it. So I even asked her, are you going to verbalize this? So she said, no, at the moment I don't feel ready, so I had to hold back the blessing that I wanted to give. So in terms of experience with as the ancestor, it was very difficult to sit into a feeling. I was just looking at the features, and I could just, as if this is somebody alien from another generation. So I'm trying to place, okay, there's fur on her, and she has these arched eyebrows, and she has sharp features, and the hair. So is this a young man who is a hunter? So there was really, I was at a loss about the image that I was seeing. I could not understand who this person is. So, I was only trying to sort of make sense of that image, and there was nothing beyond that all through.
Very good. Very good. Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, about me, about having the ancestor interaction. Again, there was a disconnect. I could not experience anything. I couldn't feel anything. So I tried very hard to feel into my body, to feel into my feelings. Nothing. Then just towards the end, I felt as if I'm feeling cold, and I checked my arms as if I had goosebumps. So I wasn't sure if I had goosebumps, but I was just feeling cold towards the end. And then I asked for the blessing, and I didn't get it, so that was devastating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Very interesting. Two totally different experiences, right? So interestingly, the group Heber and Saida, they had a kind of alike experiences, and also you had alike experiences, like with the distance towards your ancestors. So that's another magic of the morphic field. You know, how this is chosen, these groups. Okay, so now we have our break, and I would like you to prepare, because after the break, you are introducing your partner to us. So take the next 10 minutes, sort out a photo, either a paper one or put it on your desktop so you can share it. And then we will all get to learn a little bit more about you and yourself and your romantic relationship, as much as you want to share, of course. Or not so romantic relationship, I don't know. We'll see. Okay, 10 minutes, and I see you again. Okay, Heba and Navjoti, can you join us again? Okay, so now we introduce your partners. Who wants to start? Everyone gets to go.
Okay, I can start.
Very good.
Yeah. So do we have some kind of agenda what I need to tell, or it's like a free way?
Whatever, you first share the photo. Hang on, let me just check that you can share it. Yep, you can.
Yeah, okay.
Aha.
I think that now you can have a look. Yes.
Very good.
Yeah. So his name is Arnis. He's 30, tomorrow 39 years old, still 38 years old. And we are in our relationship almost 2 years. And I call him my great teacher because the struggle and all the things that happened during those relationships, they have been so worth that, because I have learned a lot. And the same for him too. When we were talking to each other before a couple of days, he said that he's so grateful that this year, when he looked back, like this year before birthday, that this year we have grown together, that he feels really a big, huge, like a step ahead for himself, and the same for me. And the main idea is that why I really love him, because with him I feel myself. I can feel free. I can show all my kind of personality, things that I have, not like some kind, you know, oh, I'm that kind of that, but no, I feel free to show that I can cry, I can be that, and he accept that. And also we always have fun, and that's the really thing I love for him, that we have both good sense of humor, so we enjoy time together. We are also like friends, and there we also were fishing together. That was the first fish during last season, so
big fish. Big
yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. So, how would you describe your relationship to him with a word or two now?
I forgot to mention that he has 2 kids, yes, from his first marriage. So it also put some things during this time. But the thing which describe one, love, would be
Wonderful.
the feeling and love.
All right. Thank you very much. Lovely to have him. I didn't catch his name. You want to repeat that?
His name is Arnis.
Arnis. Okay.
It's like Arnis, yes.
Arnis. Okay, Arnis. Good to have him in our group and to have him with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Who's next?
Okay, I'll go. So should I go in the order of precedence? Because I had a former partner and a current partner. So which one?
Okay, which one do you want to share? Just one of those.
Okay, there's just one. Okay, okay. Then, I thought we have to share a significant, because I was married and then I got divorced and then I got married again. So if I have to.
And you have children with the first one?
No.
So then choose the second one.
Yeah. Okay. I thought it had to be both. So if one, of course, then of course, then my husband. Yeah, I will share. Okay. I'll just take myself out. So, yeah.
Very good.
Okay, so that is Patrick.
Patrick, yeah.
Yes, Patrick Briand. He is French, and that's my husband. And we have a very it's an unconventional marriage. He's 22 years older than me, and we both met, when we were married to other people, and we instantly had a sense that we are strongly attracted to each other, and we instantly had a sense that there is, there's a child or children around us. So we were very starkly aware of it, but so we long story short, we had an affair, and then we tried to move apart because he had children with his first wife. I went abroad for several years, but nothing ever. I divorced my then husband. I stayed abroad. In the meantime, he divorced his wife, and it was all because there was intense longing for each other, despite the separation that we created between us. And we eventually got married in 2016. And like I mentioned earlier, divorce is taboo in India. Even today, it is becoming more and more common, but it's still taboo. But in his case, because he's a white man in India, and he lives in India, so that's where we met and we've been together. It was, it became a bigger taboo that, here is somebody bringing the bad Western influence into India. So things were extremely tough for us in the initial stages of our marriage. His ex-wife is sort of in the same environment as us. So a lot of things happened, and then of course we had our 2 children. I love him very much, but our relationship has always been very, very, very turbulent. Yeah, so that's about it. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you for sharing. So, how did you describe your relationship right now? Temperamental?
Right now, I would say distant.
Distant.
At the yeah, it is turbulent all the time,
Turbulent.
but at the moment we've sort of evolved, we've transformed the turbulence into distance just to keep the peace for the children. So,
Yeah. Okay.
But I do love him very much. Yes.
Very good. Thank you for sharing. Good to have him with us. And who's next?
I'm happy to go next.
Mm-hmm.
Just 1 second. So this is Idris. Gosh, it's funny. I've been thinking, what am I going to say about him? He's the most amazing person that I know. Many of the things that I think I've done in my life, I've done as a result of having his support. So he's 54, 4 years older than me. We met, so he became Muslim 18 months before we met. And I was resistant to meet him because my mum had been trying to get me married since I was 19. And so if you can think of any way that you can have an arranged marriage, I've got an experience of it. And then one day when I was 28, I decided, actually, you know what, I really do want to get married. And I remember very clearly praying about wanting to get married, and then kind of just asked if I thought you could potentially know somebody that would be a good husband for me, I would ask you. So I then started to meet people, and many of them were just a waste of my time. And a friend of my sister's wanted me to be introduced to somebody, and I was just so resistant. And in the end, I said, okay, I'll meet him just to get them off my back. And we met in January. A month later, we decided we were going to get married. I had to go and then tell my mum, and actually my mum was living in Dubai at the time, so I flew to see her. And her first response was, this is a white man with no education, because he joined the army when he was 16. And initially her response was no. And then I came back and I just kind of said, well, like, I think this is good for me, but if you say no, I'm not gonna do it. But it was her mum. It was my grandmother who said, actually, you know, this is a good idea and you should let her. She's not stupid. She's not going to make silly decisions. So we got married in June. So 4 months after we met, that was 21 years ago. We have 2 kids. And I think what's interesting is in him, I wanted to find the father of my kids, and I did. And when I see him, I think he's all the things that I anticipated a dad would be for children. And right. Interestingly, when I had my daughter Halima, a few months after that, I realized I felt quite envious of what she had from him as a dad. And I kind of thought, I've either got to stop being jealous and really be proud of the fact that this man is a great father for his children, or I'm going to end up divorced and mess up my kids. And I'm honestly, like, there has been a few ups and downs, but for me, I don't know, like, he's just really amazing, and what's amazing and very kind, and I think I'd hope that he'd say the same things about me, because at the moment the job that he's doing doesn't have a huge salary, doesn't, you know, but actually he's really happy. And for me, that's the priority, because he's happy doing the things that he's doing, and I'm happy doing the things that I'm doing, and we're just on this journey together.
And what is he doing? Raising goldfish?
Oh, here, this picture is of us when we were traveling, and it's in Bali.
Ah,
and
I
we
see.
went to a restaurant that just sits above the water, and so you can put your feet in, and these fish, they come and they clean your feet. So I wanted to
Fantastic.
find a picture of him smiling, because I think that's really and all of the other pictures I have of him are either with me or with the kids. So yeah.
Very good. And what is he doing at the moment that makes him so happy?
So he answers 999 and 101 calls.
Ah,
So he's a communications officer for the police.
wow.
So yeah, so he joined the army at 16, then left 10 years later, then worked in IT. And then after the kids came along, we were like, well, I'm much more driven in my career than he was. And he then decided to change and become a teacher. So he did that for a few years. Then we worked together for a few years. And when he found this job, I could just see that he was just so happy.
Mhm.
And yeah, so he helps other people. And that's, I
Wow,
think,
yeah. And
aim
it's
of
quite
his life.
challenging anyhow. It's quite stressful, eh?
You know, it would, I think the same. It's not a job that I can do, but he loves it. He thrives doing the job. And I think for me, it's fascinating, you know. Mm.
So how would you describe the relationship to him now, from your perspective?
I think it's loving and supportive.
Mhm. Very good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much
Mhm.
to bring him into our group. So we have him with us. Thank you very much
Thank you.
for sharing. And now it's Heba's turn.
So I couldn't find many pictures for him. Needless to say that I have got rid of most of the stuff. So at least I could find one of our wedding's picture.
Mm.
Well, our relationship has always been complicated. So because we were together, and then I'm 4 years older than he is. For some reason, his mother wasn't approving us being together. So we broke off. He went, got married, had a child. And a year later, he came back, and I still do love you. I'm not happy with her. I'm just keeping her with my mom to keep her happy and all these things. And he was living in Dubai, and his wife, he left her in Egypt. So he proposed, and we got married in 2016. Which is interesting because we had our wedding on the Christmas, and it's the same wedding anniversary for my parents also. They also got married on Christmas. Yeah. Yeah. So things were good at first until she got pregnant with the second child, and then I think it got a little bit overwhelming for him. Because his family were not approving our marriage, and having a second child with his first wife was making things more complicated for him. And he decided that maybe we should get divorced. And we were separated for 4 years, but never finalized the divorce until last October. So we did that, and then he came back and he was like, it was a mistake, we should get back together. But that's when I had the constellation down, because I wasn't really sure if really loves me, or he's just I don't know why he's doing this to himself and to me, just keeping, back and forth. And I was surprised to know that he did really love me, but he's like, I can't get away from you, but I don't know how we can stay together. So currently we're still talking. We're still trying to figure out how we can move things forward. But honestly, I'm still hesitant if I should give him a second chance or not, because I don't know if he's going to make use of it, or he will blow it away like he did before. So we're still taking it like slowly and step by step for now. And we'll see.
Sure. Very
Yeah.
good. Thank you so much for sharing. So how would you describe your relationship to him now?
I wish it was better, because at least it would make it easier for me to make a decision to get back together with him. But he also got a lot on his plate to deal with, and his family's resistance is not making it any easier for us to be together. So it's a little bit tense right now.
So you would describe the relationship as tense.
Yes, yeah. He's expecting me to be the same tolerant person who would take all this crap like I did like 10 years ago, because we've been together like since 2010 or something like that. So, but I made it clear for him I'm not the same person anymore, and I cannot really tolerate what I used to, just to keep the relationship going or to push things forward. So unless he's going to invest as much as I am, then it's not going to work for me. Although I still do love him and he still loves me, but I don't know. He showed me that sometimes love is not enough.
Interesting conclusion, no?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. Thank you so much for sharing and bringing him to our group so he can be with us. That is wonderful. Okay, so we will continue with me sharing the slide. And let's talk about so-called romantic relationships, even if they are not romantic, because they have a certain interesting dynamic, and the balancing of giving and taking is very different in romantic relationships. And this is something that I convey to you in the way that Bert Hellinger has written about it and talked about it and showed it. Not all parts of this are actually, let's say, for a family constellation, but more for personal experience and personal growth, and to deal with our own relationships in a good way. Some things can be translated into a family constellation situation, and some are purely for us to learn from for ourselves, for our own relationship. So first of all, in a romantic relationship, and that doesn't need to be romantic, in every relationship where you meet face to face, everyone is equal. There is no stream of love flowing up and down. Even if the partner is 22 years older or whatever, yeah, the second order of love, who comes first, doesn't apply to equals, yeah? Doesn't matter how old they are. So when you think of the stream situation coming from the spring, going all the way through the generations into the sea, then when two people meet in a relationship, it's like they're forming a lake. Yeah. So here's the stream, here's the generation, then here's the lake. This is the partners, and then it continues to their children, right? Down. So this is a lake situation. So everything is equal. Everyone is equal. It is not flowing from one to the other. It's flowing towards each other. It needs to be a constant exchange. Yeah, as it would be in a lake. The water drops would constantly intermingle and exchange. Giving and taking has to be balanced, as in the other relationship with mother, father, and child. Yeah, but each partner equally gives and receives. And now you already understand, and also from what you have shared, it doesn't, in most cases, it sounds as if that is not likely the case. Often in a relationship, one is either giving or receiving more than the other. And this is causing the imbalance. Some say, how can you balance a thing? Can you balance things with money? Yes, of course you can. It is just another form of energy. Also, money can be given and received. Yeah, so that is not taboo. It's just energy. Yeah. What else can be given and received in a relationship? That's the question. And now I would like you to discuss that with me. What can you think of? Just unmute and shoot.
I think if you can do the dishes.
Doing the dishes. Yeah, absolutely. What else? Looking after children.
The time also. Give time to the other person.
Yeah. Time to the other person. That is a biggie. Yeah. Make time.
Also, in my opinion, touch and care, that you can touch each other and spend time together with those touching feelings.
Yeah, of
like
course.
hugs, kisses, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, that can be given and received, of course.
Respect.
Respect, yes.
Unconditional presence, being unconditional in your
Not judgmental, yeah.
support and your love. Yeah.
That's very good, actually. Yeah. Being supporting unconditionally, supporting not judgmental, what the other partner's doing, despite that you might not like it for yourself.
Yeah, support.
Support.
Honesty.
Honesty, yeah. How about freedom? Can that be given and received? Yeah. Very good. So that's already a list here. Of course, there are many, many other things, but you get the idea. There are lots of things that can be given and received, and they are permanently exchanged in a relationship anyhow. So what you haven't avoided to say truthfully is that, of course, judgment cannot be given and received, right? Although that happens all the time. Yeah. And some partners may think they give something to the other when they tell them what to do. Yeah. Judging that they don't know what to do, so I'm gonna tell them what to do. And you see that all the time in relationships. But judgment is not something that you give and receive. On the contrary, it leads to the breakup in a relationship in the long run. That is I mean, that is kind of inevitably, because if you judge the other, how would he receive that? He can only reject it, right? Saida?
I can give you an example of that. I remember
yes,
my mum, when me and my husband were working on something else, my mum kept saying, why doesn't he get a proper job? And I said, well, he can, but it will destroy him. And because he will do what I'm asking him to do, we'll end up getting divorced.
Yeah, exactly. That is very wise. So you gave him freedom instead of judgment. The freedom to choose what he finds is best for him, right? So when this is exactly the thing, and I totally agree. You will separate eventually, yeah, because judgment cannot be given and received. So it's not part of the exchange. If that's everything that one is giving, yeah, then there is no exchange. So stagnant, and it will end in separation. So then there are other common problems in relationship other than judgment. One is giving too much, and the other one is not receiving. That are common. Anything comes to your mind of somebody you know that is giving too much, not only to a romantic relationship, also as a friend. Like, of course, this also is for girlfriends, and all equal relationship applies the same rule, right? Every kind of relationship. So from the top of my head, I can think of 2 people I know in my life who have definitely is always giving and not able to receive anything. And it is really hard to live or to just to be with these people. Why would that be? Because you have no chance
to give back.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it feels also pressure because you keep feeling guilty that you're only taking all the time and you're not giving something back. Or sometimes you'd feel, okay, you need to give something matching, but maybe you cannot match what they're giving. So even if you give back, you feel like you're giving less and you end up feeling guilty.
That's true. And if they are constantly giving, they don't leave you a chance to give. They just don't, you know, before you are even able to give, they give again and they give again. And oh, have this, and oh, have that, and oh, have this, and oh, have that. Yeah. And it feels like a burden and not like a gift anymore.
The two get resentful also about it.
Can you repeat that?
And they may get resentful about it.
Who's resentful about it?
The person giving, can they also then become resentful about it? That I'm only giving and I'm not receiving when
I see what you say. This is actually another case. This perceived only giving, this is judgment. So the people who think that they are always giving the partner and they get nothing back, they are judging the partner that whatever they give is not good enough. Right? That is also very common, of course. And that falls under the category judgmental. Yeah? But the one we're talking here about is giving too much because they genuinely are incapable to receive. They don't want you to give anything back. They just want to give. So no balance is possible. You cannot give back, so no balance is possible, right? The other problem is one partner gives unrealistically, right? I love you forever. It sounds romantic, but that's unrealistic. What is forever? It's impossible. No? How is that balanced? How can one balance this out? Right? So these are unrealistic givings that are hard to balance out, and this is also bound to fail in the relationship on a in a long run. Who do you think is leaving the unbalanced relationship? The one who's giving too much or the one who can't receive?
Can be either, I think.
There's a pattern though, Heba.
Most probably the one who takes too much.
Aren't they the same people? The one who is giving and who also cannot receive? They're the same
I think
person,
then
right?
it will be the one who's receiving is the one who's going to leave.
That's true. Because they are suffering under not being able to give back. They feel unbalanced. They feel it. Yeah, that's totally true. These are the people or the persons who eventually leave and terminate the relationship. So now we talk about something interesting that Bert Hellinger, a concept that he has developed about balancing in the good and balancing in the bad. So he was thinking of, okay, behavior or lack of thereof, or objects that are exchanged that needs to be balanced, or emotions. But how do we balance something out? Because you can also give something hurtful, right? Giving can also be hurtful. So he was developing this concept of balancing in the good and balancing in the bad, and calls this what lets love grow. Hang on, I have to go back. That's too early. So, yeah, where are we now? Here. So, what he's saying is, and that's really interesting, you can let love grow when somebody's giving something positive, and then the other one is giving something back, but a little bit more. Right? And then the receiver gives a little bit more than that. So it's growing, the giving is growing, but only in little portions, so that the one who's receiving is always able to receive it and has the chance to give something back. Yeah. So that lets love grow. The opposite would be somebody gives something good and the other one would balancing it out by giving something lesser good. Yeah. So that would kind of then bring the balance down until the exchange stops, right? If this is balanced in that way. If we're assuming that nobody's giving too much, right? That's not the case in this example that I'm making here, right? Both are willing to give and receive. Nevertheless, it can go this sideways if the good things that are given and received are lesser and lesser and lesser, because this is the opposite of letting love grow. What is more complicated is what happens when you give bad things, not so good thing. How does this can be balanced out so the relationship has still a chance? Let's make a very typical example. The man is cheating on the woman, yeah, and she finds out, but she doesn't want to leave him. There's love, yeah. So how does she balance? No, now I'm curious to hear what you're saying. How does she balance out this giving badly to let the love grow? What do you think? So, do you think she should cheat on him as well? Oh, exactly. But what do you think she should do? Shall she just say, shrug the shoulder and say, well, what the heck?
No, first of all, what I'm thinking is that I need to check myself. Maybe I have done some, not like you searching for my fault, but just looking at myself. Maybe there's some things that I have didn't notice before, just to check and then to see the plan how I can solve that, and that could be the way how I can allow the love grow, in my opinion.
And what would you do? What is the action that's taking place to balance it?
I check, I find out the things, and I try to solve them if it fits with my values about relationship. Because maybe, okay, if he's cheating like already 10 times, I just check and I understand, okay, there's no things I can correct, then I simply maybe let go because I appreciate myself. But if I see that, okay, maybe didn't notice that, and I can still change, and it's okay with my values, then I simply work together with this partner, not explaining that it's my fault that you're cheating because I didn't do that and that, but just to find the way together.
Okay, fine. That's a way. That's a way of communication, I would say. That's a way of communication about a problem. If we just want to balance out this with another act. So in this example, for example, the woman would not cheat on him, but she would go on whatever, Tinder or whatnot, and meet somebody and flirt, or go in a bar and flirt with somebody, yeah? Which is just giving something bad, but lesser, a little bit lesser. And of course, she would say that, right? And then he would do the same in this ping pong situation, a little bit lesser. So then he would not cheat anymore on the woman. He would, like, maybe flirt, but very briefly, and so on. So this is just an example. So you get the point that you can also balance out things in bad things, yeah, to bring the love back. If you just leave it and you don't balance it out, it would just also end in a separation. Because it is not, giving and receiving is unbalanced. That's the whole point here.
Sorry, I don't understand. So, but for example, if it doesn't fit with my values, for example, if I simply imagine that kind of situation, that if I'm doing the same, I would feel like that I'm like, because I have experience in my past that yes, somebody cheated on me, but when I was thinking that I can do, for example, yes, go to Tinder or stuff like that, it was for me like, well, then I'm doing like the same. It's like, no, they're just like try to figure out different kind of things, how to work it. But Yeah, it's like mind blowing for me to hear
Yeah.
but that's the, yeah, okay, so that's the way how we can fix them. Yes, the
You
thing.
can,
That's one way.
if that is your thing, you can do it. You don't have to, of course, right? You can also think of something else. You can think of something like you need to find something to balance it out. So you can say, okay, he cheated on me. I want to do something that he doesn't like. Let's say I'm inviting my whole family for 4 weeks in our house. I'm just making things up, yeah.
Maybe this is why
Including mother
sometimes
and father and everyone, yeah, and grandmother. And
Yeah.
then he has to deal with that. You know? That's balancing.
you hear stories of women kind of going out on massive spending sprees with the other person's credit card.
Yeah, that's also something balancing. Although if he has a lot of money and he doesn't care, then it's not really balancing. Then it's kind of, oh, I can just pay for it and I can do my thing and she will just go shop. But if it would hurt him because he can then not buy, let's say for his hobby, let's say his hobby is whatever, having a car, and then all of a sudden he cannot fix it because the money is spent, that's the balance. Yeah. So see, the point is you're not just putting up with it. You find a way to balance it. If you want to keep the relationship, if you're just putting up with it, this will just get unbalanced and more and more and more. It will repeat itself and will get more and more and more unbalanced. No? So that is this balancing in the good and balancing in the bad. Yeah, that lets love grow. Now, obviously, the other way around, lets love not grow. Like if you would balance in the bad and would cheat more on him than he does on you, obviously, right? This tit for tat and then a little bit more on top, that doesn't balance it out. This is eventually also leading that somebody is going. So now let's talk about forgiving and forgetting as a means of balancing in a relationship. Do you think that is that's a good balance? If somebody says does something really bad and you say, I forgive you, this is balanced? No. Very good. Nobody agrees. And why? What do you think?
I think when you forgive, there's a shift in power dynamics.
Very good. That's correct. That's it. Forgiving means I am better than you. I have the power to make you better. Yeah. If I say I forgive you, I have the power. And as long as I am not forgiving you, you are under my spell. You owe me, right? That's completely right. So this kind of forgiving is not balancing anything out, and it's just showing a hierarchy that one partner thinks it is in. And often victims thinking like that, right? They are kind of victimize themselves, and then they feel powerful. They put themselves in this situation to be powerful, and that they are not forgive their partner. Yeah. That's a very, very good. So forgiving in a family constellation is tricky, and it comes often up. So be aware of that. You have representatives, they say, especially in romantic relationships, past romantic or present romantic relationships, that they say, I forgive you, as a representative to the other representative, right? Then you have to step in and say, hey, hold on. Yeah? That's not what we say. Yes, Saida.
Can I ask a question about forgiveness? In my situation, I have a lot of pressure to forgive my dad, and I really struggle to do that. Whereas I think what I'm realizing as I kind of evolve is that I have just accepted the circumstances.
Right. What do you need to forgive him?
Well, I think, what do I need to forgive him? That he wasn't there, that he didn't fulfill the role of being a dad, you know, that my mum had to pick it up. So that he put some of the responsibility on me. So, you know, but I never was able to forgive him.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Because that would put you on top of him.
Yeah.
And remember the order of love, the second order of love. He comes first, you come second.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to keep your role as a child. The child is not in the position. Nobody's in the position to forgive anybody. But the urge, I tell you why, the urge in a child to forgive a parent is nothing else than a sign of an interrupted movement towards the parent. That's it. So this is all healed when you go through the movement, which we obviously will do.
Thank you.
Yeah. Very good. Very good point. Because it comes out so often. And in a family constellation, to be aware, there's no room for forgiveness. Yeah. There's one exemption, but Hellinger teaches is if forgetting is, if forgiving is equal forgetting. So if you are able to forget the incident, that means delete it from your memory. So it's not coming back. You're not thinking of it. It's not there anymore. That kind of forgiveness is possible. Yeah. You can because nothing needs to be balanced. If you forget it, it has never happened. Saida.
So just on that question then, so I don't have many memories of when I was young, and I don't actually mind. But then what you're saying is that because I don't remember anything, there is nothing there.
That's actually true.
Yeah, thank you.
That's actually true. And everything else is coming up is kind of fabricated later on in the mind. It's a mind construct. Right?
So if for example, a child is angry with one of his parents because of some certain situation, but then maybe they got a little bit more insight and understood a little bit more about it, and eventually they just feel like there's nothing to be angry about. It's not seen as a forgiveness. It's just diffusion, right? It's like diffusing the situation, right?
So now we are leaving the romantic relationship back to parents, right? Am I right here?
Okay.
No, we're just saying. So just remember the orders of love in children and parent relationship. Yeah, the parents don't need to do anything that you approve of. Nothing, absolutely nothing. They can totally do whatever they want to do. That's their right. You as a parent, you have the right to do totally whatever you want to do. The child cannot demand from you to do anything in specific. Your role is it to provide the love, to let the love flow that you inherited and that is in you from your mother, from your father, to nourish the child and make sure it survives. That's all. And everything else is mind-made in the head of the child, and most likely the result of an interrupted movement towards the mother or the father. And that is the problem. So the problem is somewhere else where we are not looking. And there's also the solution, of course. In the same place. Yeah. When we all had that, of course, before we do the work. Yeah. When we have this conception that our parents should have done something differently, and then we are growing into our adulthood and have insights, and we are able to let that go. Yeah, that's of course a healing process. You let it go. You let judgment go towards your parents, and you start to accept them as they are. Right?
Yeah. So this is not considered as forgiving. Just
no.
There is no anger anymore. It's just gone.
Yeah, because you work through. You evolve yourself. You step into your power. You are not the needy little child anymore that needs the parents to whatever provide this and that and that. You know, now you understand that you have received everything you needed to be an amazing adult, and you get the insight. That's the spiritual work. That's the healing work. That's the way. That's not forgiving. You don't need to forgive or forget it all. But as I said, forgiving and forgetting is anyhow completely inappropriate between a child and a parent relationship. And when it comes up in a romantic relationship, it's also inappropriate, with the only exemption if forgiving is forgetting. That means completely delete it. You have worked through it. It made poof, like an epiphany or a spiritual insight or a divine intervention or whatnot. Yeah. And you are free. You freed yourself from whatever has been done to you. You freed yourself, right? Then that's it. Most likely you don't need that partner anymore in your life because you have grown so strong that there's no point in dragging somebody with you who is not, coming up to that level.
Maya, that you have mentioned it, that you outgrown this partner. So you don't always find two people who get together and both of them would be interested in the, like the work that we are doing.
Of course.
So if people would keep like outgrowing their partners, you would find everyone's getting divorced or separated. At some point, I think one person can still keep growing and still accommodating the other person in his life, or how does it work?
Maybe, but be aware that there needs a balance. So when this partner has grown here to here, and the other partner cannot keep up because they are not doing the work. So where do you exchange? Where does this happening? It doesn't look like it's even possible. Yeah. Because you have to come here, and this is why what has a beginning has an end. Everything that has a beginning has an end. It's just a natural law. It's like a sausage, the beginning and an end, and there's meat in between, but that's it. No. And we have this romantic ideas of being together forever and forever love, and so it's very unrealistic. Of course, you can have a relationship that is, and this is the work. It's always like this, it's there. That's this balance. This is what balancing does. If this is happening naturally, then the relationship will grow together. Certainly. So that's absolutely possible. But you see, it's always, you very often have the case that the one who's doing the work is growing, but doesn't come to the point where they want to step into it completely and embody it at the cost of leaving their old life behind. Yeah. And that's not only a romantic partner, that can be parents, that can be friends, that can be a job, that can be country. You evolve, you grow out of what, the circle you are in. You just grow out, and then now you have to make decisions. Does your old company, does your old lifestyle, does it suit you anymore? That's just the decision. Yeah.
It's interesting because the 2 points where me and my husband almost did separate were because I was doing so much work on myself, and once we'd had conversations about it, I think there was a little bit more of the balancing that you described, but it's a real challenge when you do work and the other person either isn't aware of it, right, or doesn't understand.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. But it can be balanced. The other one can do something to balance it out. He can give you freedom. He can give you the freedom to go your way without being jealous or bothering you with anything else, and you find a new way to relate to each other in this freedom. Yeah.
May I say something on that? It's really interesting because after we got married, like 6 months afterwards, we went on the Hajj, which is the major pilgrimage. And we kind of both said to each other, if something happens to us in this and we don't come back, then mourn, but be free to carry on with your life. And for me, that was one of the most, one of the biggest things that still has impact today, you know.
Yeah. That is the greatest gift. The greatest gift you can give your children, you can give your parents, you can give your partners, is to give them freedom. And not clinging to them because of your own needs. That's definitely the greatest gift. Very good, very good. So it always goes deep, of course. So I'm quoting Bert Hellinger here, the intimacy decreases with the firstborn child. That's what he says, right? That is his observation. And you might have made the same observation, but the relationship can expand into something greater than just intimacy. So he's referring here to balance that out, the loss of intimacy. Yeah. So when the loss of intimacy happens, it's mainly that often that the male counterpart is suffering under that. Then there needs to be something greater than just intimacy that the partners can find, obviously, right? And this is the way to stay in the relationship if both partners appreciate the widening of the relationship for the sacrifice of intimacy. And they do that, of course, together. It's not enough if one is doing that. That would be something they do together. And I do have the feeling, and you know, you see lots of relationships that change with the first child. I mean, that is a given. You might have, you know, found for yourself when you had your first child that there's something strangely happens, and how you kind of, you're so relating to your child, and there is something lacking with the partner, then there's, as if there's not enough for the partner anymore. And that is a kind of a normal phenomenon, which is lacking, is the intimacy. That then the inside of the partner to see that and to be okay with letting the love grow and sacrifice this intimacy that was before the first child into something that is wider and bigger. That would be the one to balance the slack out. And then let's have a quick look at transgender and same-sex relationship. But Hellinger had a few gay constellations, as far as I remember, not very many. Of course, there was no transgendering in his era, and there was also not very much with same-sex relationship. It was barely. When he was at his height, it was not even allowed, I think, definitely not to marry. So there was not much openness about it. So I remember him having a few constellations where it was more like if somebody came and was gay, he had a problem with it. Yeah. So they often had a wife, they often had children, and then they felt they were gay, or they had a boyfriend, a secret, and they struggled with it. You know? So the happy and family constellation was to find out what made him feel that way, what made him feel attracted to a man, so he can step out of that and be happy in his marriage, if you will, fix it. Yeah. So that was more the angle in this constellations. Nowadays, we have a lot of same-sex relationships. They are happy with it and they want to stay there, right? So that's not the problem. So we don't have much information about how to balance things out there. I would assume it's exactly the same as in hetero relationships, but we have yet to see it. Right. So if you have a case, if you know somebody, who might want to, you know, look at something in his relationship and is a transgender or has a same-sex relationship, please send him our way for a workshop. It would be really interesting to see if there's anything different in the orders of love in the same-sex relationship. Okay. What else is coming up? Yes.
Sorry, about the intimacy. Has anything been done about the impact of menopause?
I'm not sure. I haven't heard him talking about it.
Okay, thank you.
Interesting. Yeah. How do you perceive that?
So I know for me, it wasn't a problem, but like how can I say it? Intimacy decreased when I went through menopause.
Yes. I think that
that's
most women have that, yeah.
Yeah, and I was just so I will do some investigations because I'm curious about this one.
Yeah, it's very interesting. No, I never thought, I cannot remember that was part of a family constellation. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so to round up, I want you to remember a relationship is only alive through giving and receiving, right? Without it, there is no relationship because nobody's relating to the other. Yeah, it is always giving and receiving is there, and it needs to be balanced if you want this particular relationship to continue. Think of a system. The members are captured within a boundary, yeah, like a membrane of a cell in the body, if you will. Yeah, through the membrane of the cells, billions of cells are all exchanging information, nutrients, prana in a highly intelligent way. I have that from Bruce Lipton, yeah, all the time. And they are forming a system, right? This is this exchange. And now I'm back to family systems, right? There is this permanent exchange going on, yeah? The systems, in this case bodies, when we look at the body, are exchanging the same energy with other systems as well, right? So now we have here one body and there one body, and they're exchanging as well. It's not only that within the body, the cells are constantly changing and exchanging, it's also that one body and the other does the same, yeah? So without exchange, we do not survive, right? And if you know, I'm sure you know that, or you have heard that the hardest, what can I say? The hardest situation one can be in is in solid confinement, with no one there to exchange anything, right? This, you cannot survive that for very long. The body cannot survive that. So this exchange is really basic need of every human being, and also of animals and every living being. Is this exchange is basic need, yeah? The body depends on the exchange of cells, and we depend on the exchange with other people, huh? We cannot survive in solitary confinement. Now we just need to direct this unconscious emotional exchange with others, like when we are in the crowded bus, or when we're sitting in the car and there's an idiot driver in front of us who drives far too slow. Yeah. For example, now we have to direct these energies in the right channels. The exchange is okay. Yeah. It is just the way we do it. And we now can decide how we do it in equal relationship, right? Not mother-father. If a system excludes, and then the whole system is also exchanging with other systems. This is how why a family system invites, so to speak, other members from another system to become part of the system through a dynamic like victim perpetrator or like destiny. Yeah, they invite because there must be an exchange. Otherwise, the system would be completely stagnant, right? It would be only the blood related people that is not even surviving in this. Is not set up for survival neither, right? So this exchange needs to happen on all levels that you look at. And if a system excludes other systems and refuses any exchange, it's bound to die. And that you see that in history, like the Soviet Union or the East Germany, they have completely denied any exchange. I was alive when there was the wall, right? I was living there. And they have completely, in East Germany, completely denied any exchange with West Germany. And of course, it couldn't last longer than it was like 50 years or something like that. Yeah, it's bound to die. It's not possible to survive. This exchange is absolutely paramount. Remember that families are systems, yeah? So their member exchange permanent information, giving and receiving energy, nourishment, and love. And we as family constellation facilitators, we see that, and we see when there's an imbalance, and I give you the tools in the next module, how to apply that, right? What can balance out an imbalance in a relationship. They're all following certain orders, the 3 orders that I have conveyed today and this weekend, the 3 orders of love. It depends on the nature of the relationship, what the right order is. So there's a different order between mother and child, a different order from the child towards the father, and a different order in relationship, in equal relationship. So one who's giving all the time without allowing others to give. Sorry, I have to sneeze. One who's giving all the time without allowing others to give to the system is saying, better you feel guilty than I. Because I don't allow you to exchange. They don't allow you to give. So they are debt collector. So there's nothing good about persons who always give. There's very suspicious. Walk away. Walk away if you have somebody in your life. Watch out for people who want to help you all the time without being asked. It's the same thing. Right? They are also collecting debt. And nobody should run up to somebody else and tell them what to do in helping, right? You always should be invited. And that is very, very important as a family constellation facilitator and systemic coach. Yeah. You're not opposing your service onto somebody you think needs it. You wait till they ask you. Always wait till you've been asked. Because it's also their life, their freedom of choice, their destiny, and we don't want to step in this unasked. Yeah. I'm just thinking of your husband, Saida. Imagine he would not sit and wait for a call 911, 999. What is your number? He would sit there and not wait for it. He would just go through the yellow pages or to the white pages and randomly call people and say, I'm here to help you. That would be, that would be the other side. So no, we wait till they call and then we will offer what we can give. So back to the relationship, ask for something the partner can actually give, right? That's very important. So instead of ask the partner, will you love me forever or love me forever, which is, it's unrealistic, you would ask, sit here and watch the soap with me, or can you massage my feet or something realistic immediately that he can give immediately and nobody is collecting debt. Yeah. If asked for something indefinite, that would be the sentence, love me forever. The other never know when they have when they have a gift, when they have been given and have fulfilled this demand. You don't know. It's never ending, right? So how do I do that? How do I love somebody forever? Yeah. So that is so unrealistic and balance cannot occur. Even if you want to, even if you would want it to love forever, how does it even work? Yeah. Sympathy or pity is not giving or receiving. Yeah. It is an arrogancy that divides. Because sympathy or pity comes from a state of being higher than the other, to a lower. Receiving is often more difficult than giving. And we talked about that 2 days ago. That is because of the conscience, in this the personal conscience that has developed in early years in this system. Yeah, when you've been often when the child always hears from the parents, giving is better than receiving, as a mantra. and is conditioned like this, they have problems to receive, right? So if you have children, make sure they don't listen to these conversations. They know that both is equal and equal right in their way. Okay, we have 15 minutes left and we do an exercise. The last one for today, let me just check. Yep, the last one for today. And then we will round up module 1. Okay, so let's go back to the exercise. No, doesn't want to. Here we go. Go back to the exercise. Meeting your partner, the one you have introduced to us, yeah, in the right place. So we put you in 2 groups again, and one is representing yourself and the other your partner. And it doesn't matter that he's at the opposite sex. In family constellation, that doesn't matter at all. Yeah, you can represent any gender. Yeah, okay. So remind me, who was not in a, let me stop sharing, who was not in a group together yet?
I haven't worked with Eva.
Okay, so Zaidi and Eva. Okay, I will make sure you go together. We want to round up it a little, let's say 4 minutes each. We make it a little bit shorter, 4 minutes each. So what did you say? Let me recreate. Saida and Eva.
Eva.
Okay, fantastic. So, meeting in the right place means, I should say that before we go away. Meeting in the right place means without judgment. You are meeting the soul of your partner as if you meet him for the first time. There's no history, yeah? There's no thoughts about do's or don't do's. It's just look in the eyes, open your heart, and be completely open to what you feel and what you receive and what you might give. Yeah? And no talking. Okay, so 4 minutes each. Off you go.
Maya, I can hear you. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who wants to start sharing? We are restricted to a minute or so each. Yes.
I don't mind.
Naftu.
So when Eva was my husband, I just felt this enormous sense of peace. And it's interesting because there was a tiny bit of interruption where the internet stopped, and I was still okay. And I found that really fascinating. And when she came back, it felt like there was no interruption at all. I don't know, it was a really peaceful experience for me. When I was in the role of Eva's partner, I just had this enormous sense of love and affection, and just that, but there was something kept coming back, like adventures. We're going to go on real adventures together, and I didn't know what that meant, but it was just really powerful. And then I was like, I imagined long life together, if that's what she wanted. And I just felt this thing about, it's what does she want? I don't know what she wants.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing. Wonderful. Eva?
Yeah, so first of all, when I was Sadie's husband, I had that feeling that I was so curious about her. I was like even taking that kind of my body language. I was like looking at her, and I was like so fascinated about her. I wanted to get to know a little bit more and more. I was like, it's like a story that I want to go through, and I want to read next page and next page because it's like so something new for me, and at the same time it's like not stressful, like will to go in adventure, something like say the similar said, but it was like so strong and a good feeling, but I want to keep read more and more and more. Yes, it was that I was changing my positions, but every time I was like getting closer and closer, but like, oh, I want to get a good feeling, really good feeling about her.
Very good.
And
then?
when we changed the roles, I have like those butterflies in my stomach, but they were a little bit not like so, oh, I'm so into, but like a little bit stressful and what we're gonna do and how it's gonna work and something like that. But later one time I was crying because it was like I felt something so sad looking into Said's or his eyes that it simply reflected to cry together. So yes, I was like crying, but then I had this feeling that okay, we're gonna deal with that and we're gonna do that. And it was like strong and good feeling.
Okay, very good. Very good. Thank you for sharing. And Nafjoti.
Yeah, so yeah, well, when I was looking at Heba as my partner, I don't know, the conversation that we just had about receiving giving, I was constantly in my mind talking really to Patrick, to Heba about that, and saying that, gosh, you know, you are drowning me with your giving, and I didn't ask for any of it, and so on and so forth, and I could just see him smiling and just being very serene, and it made me more and more frustrated and angry and upset that, you know, he's always serene and quiet and distant and everything's okay in his world, and, you know, I just keep going round and round, and that's how it stayed. And when I became Heba's partner, very interesting. At first there was too much noise, you know, and I could see, okay, this is somebody in the distance, and I have a lot of noise in my life, and I see this image that I want to reach to, and I like to, and I want to keep looking at, but there's so much going on that I can't reach out to her. And then after a while, I had this feeling that it's impossible to achieve this person. I will never achieve this person. And then there was this statement that came up in my mind. You were my mother in another life.
What was it?
As soon as you were my mother in another lifetime. And once, and then I took some time to sit with that and absorb that. And then there was some peace in me towards her. And then the immediate thought after that was I was able to look at her more as she was, as who she is. The noise quietened, and I suddenly felt a sense of responsibility to be fair to her and to not hold her back.
Very good. Thank you very much for sharing. How have you perceived that, Heba?
So when I was first in the place of Navyoti's partner, the first thing I felt was like overwhelming love. Like I'm looking at this person and I see this sweet, like I see her like a sweet girl, and I just want to take care of her and make her happy. But then somewhere down the line, there were like some distractions coming from outside. So it's not about something between them, but something from outside, maybe his work or something, I don't know, but it felt like something from outside was influencing him, distracting him a little bit and drawing his attention away from the relationship. And at the same time, he felt like the kids were taking more time from her, and I was feeling like I don't have or she doesn't have like space for me, or there's no room for me there. And this maybe allowed me a little bit to drift more with whatever was distracting me outside from home. But there's like a strong feeling of belonging, like she's his home, she's my home. I was like, he's trying to find his way back, he's still trying to figure out his things in his mind, how to make things work out, because he's still, I could still feel like a lot of love inside, like very warm love inside. Yeah. But also like he was feeling like she's a little bit sad, and he was feeling no matter what he do, there is always some amount of sadness inside her that he cannot take away, and it's a little bit torturing him also, making him feel a little bit guilty, or like maybe he's not doing everything right or not doing enough, and confuse him a little bit also. So he's like treading on eggshells. He doesn't know which direction to go, what is right, what is wrong, what he should do, what he shouldn't do. It's a little bit, for him, is feeling like he's in a tricky situation.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and when Navyoti was taking my partner's spot, it's weird how the way she was looking also shifted, and she was like looking at me more like the way he does when we are together. Sometimes it feels like it's a judgmental look. And I felt also like there's also a lot of confusion in his mind, a lot of distractions around him, and he's trying to keep the connection, and he doesn't know how. And I could feel him drowning, as she was saying. I could feel him also like drowning. And from my side, I was like, that's it. I can't offer more for this. So either you figure it out yourself, or that's it. But for me, yes, I cannot offer more. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
Okay. So we let that all sit where it is. Nothing more to say, nothing more to do. We will round up our first module, module 1, until I see you again for module 2. And in between, of course, there will be a workshop when I see you, hopefully. All. And if you would just very quickly, each of you, share with us something that you have learned in the last 3 days that stuck with you, that you found important, or that has surprised you, or that you want to take with you. Just whatever comes to your mind, not long sentences, just what it is, yeah? And not why, and it's just what it is, yeah? Is there anything? What was most important, for example?
For me,
okay.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Shukran. For me, it's that the timing of this is right. It feels like it's going to be hard work, but I'm absolutely in the right place. So, thank you, Maya.
Very welcome.
And thank
Very
you
good.
to Hiba, Eva, and Navjoti as well.
Wonderful group. Thank you. Thank you. Hiba, what do you want to say?
Yeah, for me, yeah, I'm happy to be here. And although we are still like in the first module, but I can already see why the 4 of us are here together.
Yes.
Why we ended up together, not in a different group.
Yes, yes.
And the same thing we said when although at the first you were like mixing and matching us like a little bit how to say, randomly, but it ended up is like, yeah, each two-person ended up in the same room. They were supposed to be in that room together. At this situation, when we're doing this, like partner or the father or the mother. I mean, there's nothing coincidence here. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. Very good. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. Anything else to say, Eva?
I just wanted to agree with ladies and say that it brings a lot of peace in myself when I am doing these tasks. Really, this understanding, it brings a lot of peace.
Wonderful.
Thank you for that.
Wonderful. Enough, Jyoti? Anything?
Yeah, it's the same. I thought I was putting my life back in order, but after going through the module, I feel, oh gosh, there's a lot of work to do. Yeah.
Thank you.
And, yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Now that's interesting because we come here to something so profound and life-changing at this course with a certain expectation. On a personal level and on a professional level, maybe even. And already you can see how this is shifting, right? And already you can see how this is steering you in waters you were not expecting, right? And that's good so, because if we would know what we need, we would have fixed it long ago. But we don't know what we need. We need the guidance. And the guidance is here that Bert Helling has given us, and us being able to connect with the morphogenetic field and receive the information that is needed for healing.
Just question, Maya, just to deepen our understanding of Module 1, will we be putting up a list of resources? That
what? I don't understand you. Can you repeat?
To deepen our understanding of Module 1, is there going to be a list of resources that you will put up that we can read through?
Yeah, you have the list of books. You have the list of books. Definitely the books that are marked in green are paramount, so you can read any of those, and that will all be in line with Module 1. Of course, you're going to have the video recordings ready to watch by the end of the week, hopefully. And then, obviously, that is also the best way to deepen the knowledge, is because just by hearing it once, there is not much that sticks. But then repeating it all over again, thinking about it, taking notes, stopping the video, rewinding, that will then reveal all the information in greater depth, of course, right? So that's what you do. And the practical aspect is that you come on the workshops, of course, that are the open workshops. So you keep track on the community calendar and on the website with the workshops. You have your coupon codes to book them. And then, of course, the training gatherings and the practice workshops. So even if you have only done the first module, you still would go on the practice workshop, because you are representing there and you're connecting with the field and you're learning enormous there when you are there. And of course, you always get to constellate. So take every chance in this group, during this training, to go, because it's more likely that you get a chance to constellate your issue in a practice workshop than on an open workshop. Depends on how many customers coming. No. So that's
how do we find out the pricing of the workshop, etc., Maya?
You have paid everything. You just use your coupon code and you book it. No extra cost.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all paid for. So you just
the
use your
workshop as well as the open workshop.
Everything. Everything.
So we can go on the platform, right? We can find everything there. With the
everything is on the platform with the login detail. Do it. If you have a problem, email me. The training calendar, the calendar with all events. I hope I have updated them all. The events are all on there for the next few months, probably not the whole year, and it will show in New Zealand time. But when you click on the plus sign on the Google Calendar and it's importing it into your personal Google Calendar, then it will be converted into your time zone, which is very convenient. And you can also set alarms and a day before reminders, so you're not missing it. For the training gatherings and the practice workshop, you do not need a coupon code. You just click in the training community calendar on the event and it will reveal the Zoom link. For the open workshops, you use the coupon code that you have and you book the open workshops way in advance, not on the day, because you might miss it because it closes when it starts. So you book in advance the workshop with your coupon code, no extra cost, and then you will receive the Zoom call and also a next day reminder for the workshop. Yeah? Okay, wonderful. So thank you so much for being here with me on this course, and I see you soon.
So
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.